Blog Talk Radio.
Good morning, everybody. This is Lori Smith on Blog Talk Radio. It is 6 o'clock here in the morning, Thursday morning, May the 12th. I'm glad to be here. This is One Child Abuse Survivor to Another. We're on for 30 minutes. It's a live internet streaming radio broadcast from blogtalkradio.com, and chat room is open, and I did pop the link in there, what we're still talking about 3 weeks later. These are some web pages from Robert Burney called Joy to You and Me. They're his web pages. They're found at healing.about.com, www.healing.about.com. And that's a great website, lots of info on there, but especially these web pages, Joy to You and Me from Robert Burney, B-U-R-N-E-Y. It's good stuff, and I think if you look at this map, you can see he's got a lot of stuff there, all dealing with like codependency and the inner child, and for adult survivors of whether it's dysfunctional, upbringing or abuse or whatnot. It's good stuff, and I think it's worth looking at. So thanks everybody for tuning in. Yesterday I just did a show just talking about Cecil and my sweetheart who's in the hospital. Today we'll just continue right on with boundaries. I really want to keep going. This half hour here in the morning is really my healing journey, and it's my time for me, so I can work through some of my stuff, and hopefully it's helping somebody else. And I think it helps me to do this stuff because it's a half an hour in the morning where I can actually just focus my attention on what I need to work on and what's going on in my life, and hopefully it helps other people too. I find the information very helpful myself. So thanks for being here. I appreciate it. I have a lot of people listening to the shows, and I just appreciate everybody tuning in. And like this half hour is kind of a peaceful time for me in the morning. There's nothing going on. Usually 6 o'clock in the morning, I'm just waking up and having a coffee, and it's a time in the morning where really it's not the best time for me to do this. So as the rest of the day is just devoted to getting things done and working and doing whatever I need to do, or work for Dreamcatchers for Abused Children. I'm the Canada Regional Director for Dreamcatchers for Abused Children, volunteer position. And so the rest of my day is very busy. But this half hour here in the morning, it's my time to do this stuff. So I'm going to try to do these shows, even though my sweetheart's in the hospital, unless I just can't do it and I'm just not able to because I have not home or something. But the night shows, I'm going to have to cancel my night shows because I'll probably be at the hospital, depending on how long he's with us. Cecil's still with us, and as of yesterday. So this morning I'll be phoning to find out how he's doing, and I won't be able to go see him because I have to get back to work. I have to get busy, and tonight I'll go and see him tonight after work. So thanks everybody for being here. We'll get right into the show here. And I'm just, I'm not a counselor or therapist. I'm a private citizen paying to do my blog talk shows. And I just want to be one more voice for survivors out here, one more voice speaking out against abuse and advocating, fighting for child rights and standing up for child rights and stuff. And this is a great place, Blog Talk Radio, to do that. So there's a lot of great shows on here. Stop Child Abuse Now, Scans, that's Bill Murray's show on Blog Talk Radio here. That's a great show for survivors, of adult survivors of child abuse, because it's a great format. And on Sundays they have a therapist, they have a qualified therapist and a qualified nurse, I guess, or RN. It's a woman who there's all kinds of people on that show on Sundays that can help answer questions for people, for survivors, or people who have dealt with and had been abused. Right, that's a great show. It's here on Blog Talk Radio, www.blogtalkradio.com/Bill Murray, BILL-MURRAY. And it's called SCAN, Stop Child Abuse Now, Community Matters, and the website associated with it is the NAASCA.org, the National Association for Adult Survivors of Child Abuse, NAASCA.org. Great stuff. Please check it out. And then there's there's talk here on Blog Talk Radio, TAALK. There is there's so many. I actually forgot the name of one of them that's on here, but it's a great show. If I think of it, I'll tell you guys tomorrow. Anyway, there's so many. Just check it out, right? So we'll get right into this topic here. This is to do with boundaries, and we left off on Tuesday talking about these internal boundaries, and this is from healing.about.com from Robert Burney. And Robert Burney, he is I'm not a counselor or therapist, right? So everybody knows that. You have to listen at your own discretion because I'm talking about abuse on all my shows, and it's very important for people to know that, abuse is a sensitive subject, and you have to be sure that it's okay for you to listen to this stuff or anything like it, because anywhere, online or on wherever, it's a sensitive subject, and you have to know if you're okay to listen to it. And young people under the age of 18, I just ask that you have someone someone okay that you can listen to my show. Have an adult listen to the show with you, and they can help you make a decision on whether or not you should be listening age appropriate. Because, I'm talking about abuse. It's a sensitive subject, and there's a lot of adult content on my shows. But I believe in protecting children at all times, and that's what we're doing. Dreamcatchers for Abused Children. We're fighting to save children's lives and trying to stand up and fight for protection of children. So you need to keep yourself safe, and you need to know how to do that. Get that information by typing that into your browser. Internet safety for children, online safety, things like this, and it will bring you to websites that will show you how to keep yourself safe online. If you're under the age of 18, please do that. And also, don't listen to my show without permission. Have somebody listen to my show with you, and they can help you make a decision age appropriately, like whether this is okay for you to listen to. So we'll get right into this. Robert Burney. He's a teacher. First of all, he's a codependency therapist, and he is a spiritual teacher, and he's an author. He wrote a book called Codependence: The Dance of Wounded Souls, and I'd like to have that book someday. I'll get one. And this is really good stuff. He's talking about internal boundaries, and we left off talking about halfway through. But he says that critical parent voice in our head is the disease lying to us. Any shaming, judgmental voice inside of us is the disease talking to us, and he says it is always lying. This disease of codependence is very adaptable, attacks from all sides. And he says that the voices of the disease are totally resistant to becoming involved in healing and recovery, are the same voices that turn right around and tell us that, using spiritual language, that we're not doing recovery good enough, that we're not doing it right. So it's this continual shaming and judgmental stuff from the inside of us, which is just these internal voices that we might listen to. Something inside of us that says we're not enough, we're not going to make it, or these types of things. Really negative internal belief system, right, about ourselves. Could have come from an abusive home, could have come from an abusive environment, dysfunctional environment, right? Not always, but usually. And I mean, in my case, that's the case. I mean, I just grew up, hearing a whole lot of negative comments about me when I was a child, and all the way through my teen years, and even into my adulthood, from my very dysfunctional family that still wants to try to keep going as a family. There's only four of us left, and they haven't changed, right? They're still negative, and they still talk very negatively about me and about what I'm doing. And I was doing the same thing. I was very much dysfunctional as well until I started my healing journey about 4 years ago. Then things started to change, and my family, as I could see my behaviors changing for the better, and I was starting to work through things, my family wasn't. So my family is still very much dysfunctional. It's not that they don't care about me. I know that they do. It's not that. I mean, sometimes I say that they don't, but that's because that's how I feel. But I know that they do care about me, but they're unable to show it. Like, they're unable to allow themselves to think, hey, Lori's doing really great, and we're really happy for her, and she did have a hard start, like we all did in that house, growing up under that abuse and that garbage, and she's doing good. She's, they can't even say that to me. They might think it, in their own thoughts. I don't know what they're thinking, but what they cannot say it. You know what I mean? They like to still make it look like I'm this bad person. Like, even my dad phoned me the other day. I don't talk to him because I cut him off last year, but right at Christmas time, actually. But he calls me and leaves a message on my machine. We're praying for you, as if I'm some sort of lowly dog that needs, that my life is so horrible that they need to pray for me. He needs to pray for his own soul, right? The man, is a Christian, but he hurt his family, and he's going to stand in judgment. And he's continually been hurting his family, and he hurt me the year that he was staying here with me. I opened up my home to him as a 44-year-old woman who was working on my healing journey. I opened up my home to this man for a year because he had nowhere else to go. My sister wouldn't take him in. My brother wouldn't take him in. They said no way. They wouldn't take him in because they couldn't stand him, and they couldn't stand his behavior. They wouldn't be able to tolerate his abusive ways because my dad has not changed, right? He's 90. I mean, he's almost 90 years old, so it's not much physically he can do. But he's paranoid, and he's schizophrenic, and he's very damaging to be around, right? And so my sister knew that because she had him for 5 years. My sister actually had him stay with her for 5 years because after my mom died, my dad moved in with her. And so she knows what he's all about. And so she wouldn't let him stay with her this year before. And so my dad stayed with me, and I had hopes that we would be able to get our relationship started, we had never ever had a good relationship, me and my dad, and so never. So, I was hoping that we'd be able to get one. And he hadn't changed. Nothing had changed about him, and I realized this, and I was at 44 years old. I'm like, I opened up my home to this man, and treated him well. And my sister was a witness. Like, my sister was totally seeing the whole thing. She backed me up. She said, look, he's not changed. Nothing will ever change with him. He's a sick man. So here he's praying for me, but he really needs to be praying for himself because he's going to stand in judgment. And God knows, right? I mean, God sees it all. So it's very, very sad, you know what I mean? My family will never change the way they feel about me. And they expect me to play this life script that I'm just supposed to be able to and willing to take their garbage for the rest of my days on this earth, which I refuse to do. And I've cut them off for that very reason. It's not that I don't love them and don't care about them and, don't wish the best for them. I do, because it's in my heart. Like, I love my parents. Otherwise, I wouldn't be upset about the abuse. If I hated my parents, it wouldn't have probably bothered me. You know what I mean? That they mistreated me. But I think what really bothers me is that I love my parents and they still continued their garbage, and they could not see that all their children loved them. And the abuse they inflicted on all of us was absolutely ridiculous and took 2 of my brother's lives. I do blame my brother's death on my parents. I hold them accountable for that. And, it's up to God, God's judgment. I have to, that's all I can do but I do actually hold them accountable because they killed us all spiritually. Right? They killed us all spiritually. They killed us all, in every way, really, because they could not love us. They could not be good to us. They could not treat us right. And they made us feel like it was our fault. We were just horrible, horrible children. And they continued to do that even through our adulthood. And because my parents were very sick and twisted, right? So what are you going to do with that, right? I mean, you don't have to feel bad about this whole thing. This is their problem. But these internal voices and stuff all comes from that whole, even my siblings, the whole dysfunctional, codependent garbage they still continue and would continue to put on me if I was still in their lives, which I have cut them off. So I don't want anything to do with them anymore, period. That's it, end of story. I'm moving on and without them, right? Because I can't move on with them because I'll have to listen to more of their garbage, and I refuse to take any more of their garbage, right? So, and I don't want to argue and fight with them. That's what we do. Whenever we're in a room together, we scream and yell and argue about nothing, because this is our life. This is what we've done our whole lives as a family. It's all been about chaos and trauma and garbage and, you this and you that and, nobody taking responsibility for anything and making it right and sitting down and having a nice talk, right? There's no such thing in my family like that. So I'm just so tired of the way that they handle things. I can't be around them anymore. You know what I mean? I refuse. I'm just not taking any more of their garbage. So I don't care what they're doing. And if they're praying for me, that's great. But whatever. It makes no difference to me because they're completely cut off from me. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want anything more to do with them. But it is hard because these little voices that pop into my head a lot of times that are shaming me and judging me really are my family from years and years ago, telling me how worthless I am, what a piece of shit I am, this type of stuff, right? How bad I am and how ridiculous I am. And this is what they think. And they would tell me that today, especially because they know I'm doing the blog talk shows. They know I'm talking about the abuse. They know that I wrote the book A Life of Death and Redemption and the other book there, A Little Vita Jubies. They know I've done all this stuff, right? They know I'm doing Dreamcatchers, that I'm the Canada Regional Director for Dreamcatchers for Abused Children, and they hate it. They absolutely hate it. And you know why? Because it forces them to take a look at the situation. And they either have to be in denial and say, oh, well, she's just lying, or she's just exaggerating, or she's just being an ass, or whatever they want to call me. Or they have to take a serious look at it and say, man, this sucks. Like, she's so right. Like, I mean, this is so very true. Our lives are screwed because of what our parents did. We haven't done anything about the healing journey. I know that none of my family has ever attempted to do a healing journey. My sister lives in denial, thinks she's a Christian, hasn't even accepted Christ really in her life. I don't know what's the matter with her, but anyway, she grew up in the same home I did, and she's very warped. But I love her anyway, you know what I mean? Like, but I can't be around her. That's just the whole thing. I can't be around her anymore. I refuse to take any more of her shit. She's been yelling and screaming at me since I was a kid, and I'm tired of it. She has no respect for me as a woman, as an adult woman in my 40s. She does, and yet if I needed her and I called her today because of Cecil's situation, she would be here for me. See, that's the thing. Like, she would be here. She would be here to help me take him to go to the hospital, to help go visit him, whatever. But the thing is then, 2 weeks later, she'll scream at me because I don't want to go to the store with her. Or maybe I'm just not doing something right, you know. Like, she has this lowly opinion of me. Like, I'm just low, I'm just a dog. All of my family felt that way about me, even as a child, and used to call me all kinds of names. And this is the thing, like, why do I have to keep putting up with that? Just to get a ride to the hospital. I'll take the bus. Thank you very much. You know what I mean? Which I do because I have no car. So, this is the thing. I don't want her around to take me to drive me around as a taxi service. If she's not going to be in my life and support me and build me up and try to help me out as a person, as a woman on the planet, as a younger sister, right? Then she has no business in my life because all she will do is drag me down. That's what she did the last 7 years since she moved to Canada, or 8 years now, or however many. It's almost been 10, actually. She moved up here right about the time Cecil was diagnosed, actually right after Cecil was diagnosed. Cecil was diagnosed in 2001. My sister moved up a few months later. And, of course, our lives were totally in chaos because he'd been diagnosed terminally ill. And we were freaking out. We hadn't got a grip on things yet. My sister moved up and expected that I was going to be her savior up here, right? Just going to get everything done for her. In the meantime, we just had this crisis in our lives that Cecil was diagnosed that he was dying and he only had 2 years or 5 years to live, maybe. So we were freaking out. It was a hard time for us. So instead of her coming up here to support me as the older sister, she expected me to support her because that's what our codependent family is about, right? Not about, hey, what can I do for you? It's all about what can I get? You know what I mean? So I've been doing for these guys for years. You know what I mean? Like, I'm tired of it. I'm done with it. I've been trying to build them up and bolster them up for years. I'm just tired of it. They can't do that for me, right? So they're out of my life, right? Bye-bye. And I'm really glad, actually, because I have peace in my life without them. When I think about, calling them and getting back together with them and saying, okay, let's be a family, what a drag, it actually bums me out to think about that. It bothers me more to think about calling my family and telling them, hey, let's be a family, than it does for me to just blow them off. I feel so much better just walking away from that mess, you know what I mean? Because then I know now I don't have to take any more of their crap, right? And I mean, most people would be like, oh, well, that's no way to live. Well, it's no way to live to let people stomp all over you every time they decide they're going to. I refuse to be re-victimized as an adult. I had to take their garbage as a child, especially my parents. I don't so much really blame my siblings. They were just following suit. But, that whole garbage of my parents put on us, on all of us, I refuse as an adult to be re-victimized, right? So these inner voices and stuff, this is all from, negativity from our past, and we shouldn't listen to it because, excuse me, my voice is just horrible this morning, but because these voices really are just internalized negativity that we're just keeping around about ourselves, and we don't have to listen to that stuff. You know what I mean? Like, we can change the way we think about things, and that's what Robert Burney's talking about. And he says we need to turn down the volume on those loud, yammering voices that shame and judge us and turn up the volume on the quiet, loving voice. He says as long as we are judging and shaming ourselves, we are feeding back into the disease. We are feeding the dragon within that is eating the life out of us. And codependence is a disease that feeds on itself. It's self-perpetuating. So he says the healing is a long, gradual process. The goal is progress, not perfection. What we are learning about is unconditional love. And unconditional love means no judgment, no shame. So that's unconditional love for ourselves. We really have to love ourselves unconditionally, just as well as we would want other people to love us that way, and we would want to love other people that way. That we would still love other people unconditionally with no judgment, no shame. And I'm judging my family because obviously that's what I do on this show. But I also point the fact out that I love my family, and I don't hate my family, right? So I've come to the determination that I do love my parents and I do love my family, but I refuse to be hurt by them anymore. That's the whole issue. So I mean, it's one of those things I had to do for myself. I wouldn't suggest it for anybody else because it's a lonely road, even without the dysfunctional people in our lives. Some people, excuse me, just so they're not alone, will hang around abusers, right? Many people will allow themselves to be abused just so that they don't have to be alone. There's a fear of being alone with many people. I've been alone for so long, except for that, this sweetheart, my sweetheart and I mean, this relationship for 16 years has been awesome. But there's been periods of my time where I've been alone for years, even though there were people in my life, other people, because they were just hurting me, abusers, right? So you're on your own anyway if you're being abused because nobody's really there for you. So you may as well just be on your own and not be being abused, you know what I mean? And at least try to find some good, decent people to hang around with, you know what I mean? That's what I did. I finally decided I'm tired of abuse. I stopped hanging around with every abusive person that was in my life. I just said, that's it. That's enough. Even as an adult, for sure. I have no business allowing somebody else as an adult to abuse me. That's ridiculous. That's what my mother did. I mean, that's what other people do. I've seen it firsthand. I've witnessed it. You know what I mean? And that's why I do these shows, because I know what this is all about. And I said, no way will I allow somebody to abuse me as an adult. That is ridiculous. Like, I deserve to be treated with respect and dignity, and so does everybody else. And that means I have to do the same, right? Be expecting other people to treat me well and treat me with dignity and respect if I'm not going to do the same to them. And so I realized that, hey, I want to hang around with good people that love me, care about me, or at least care, right? They don't have to love me, but as long as they care about me, and are going to treat me with dignity and respect, I think that's great. You know what I mean? And I've just known so many people, in my lifetime who have allowed themselves to be abused just because they don't want to be alone. So I don't suggest cutting off your family and, you know what I mean? But what I do suggest is that you don't allow yourself to be re-victimized and continue that garbage on, because that's horrible way to live. It's not right. And I only speak about truth, and I only speak about what's right. And you know what I mean? Like, this is so important, because abuse is a choice. And people choose to abuse, they choose to do what they're doing, and people say, oh, they don't know what they're doing, they don't really know what they're doing, he doesn't know what he's doing, she doesn't know what she's doing, so they abuse me. No, that's not true. They do know what they're doing. And their behaviors are so twisted and so maladapted, that if they're not going to get some help, even though they know they're hurting you, or hurting other people, hurting us, then what business do we have hanging around them like that? You know what I mean? People always, why they justify staying with an abuser. It's like my mom staying with my dad. I mean, that was absolutely ridiculous. My older brothers used to tell her, get out, Mom, you have to get out. We'll help you get an apartment, we'll help you get a place. Even if you don't take us with you, you can leave the kids behind, whatever. But get out and get yourself your life, because this is ridiculous, you know what I mean? And would she leave my dad? No. Oh, no. No, she had to stay. It was her place in life, I guess, in her own mind. She just felt like, no, I guess this is just my life, to be abused, right? Because she was abused her whole life. Absolutely ridiculous. And, I mean, she had some good days too, but, the whole thing is her spirit was destroyed. And when she was on her deathbed, she was just miserable. And she was just like, this has been a horrible life. And, I mean, do you want to go to your deathbed like that? You know what I mean? Like my dad, this is ridiculous, the stuff that my dad did to my mom. That's why I wrote A Life of Death, The Redemption, because I wanted people to know what, and also La Vida Juvis, I wanted people to know what my dad did to us. And I also wanted people to know what my mom did to me, in particular. You know what I mean? It's absolutely horrific that people do these things to each other, but they do. And expect that you will play this role out and you will just keep on taking it and keep on taking it and keep on taking it. And why, as an adult, should you have to keep on taking that? I mean, as a child, you take what you have to take, because if nobody gets you any help, well, you're sort of screwed. And if you get older and you don't learn to change your ways, and you end up in other abusive relationships, you just continue this cycle on. How can you get better in that situation? You know what I mean? Like, you can't. It's almost impossible. So that's why, I had to cut my family off. But I wouldn't suggest other people do that. You know what I mean? Like, it's not something I would say, oh, everybody should do that. You know what I mean? I would say that nobody should do that unless it's absolutely necessary. And for me, it was absolutely necessary. And it was a hard decision, because I thought, I know they're going to be hounding me on the phone. They're going to be, because I haven't moved and I haven't changed my phone number, and I can't afford to do any of that right now. And so I'm going to have to deal with these people. They know where I live, except for my brother doesn't really know where I live, which is cool. But the rest of the family does. And, it's not that I don't love them, and of course I want to talk to them, but no more. no more. They can't guarantee to me that they're going to treat me with respect and dignity, so I can't talk to them. Right? Done deal, and it makes me happy. It really does, because you know why? It allows me to have some control in the situation. I thought about it the other day. I thought, why does this make me happy, and why am I okay with this? You know what I mean? Of course, it's sad. I miss my family, right? I miss their dysfunctional BS. But the thing is I'm so tired of them hurting me. I'm just tired of it. And so I thought, why am I okay with this, and why am I happy with this decision? And I thought, I bet you it's probably because it gives me some control, which I never had as a child in that situation, in that family. I was always just forced to endure what I was forced to endure. You know, if my mom wanted to punch me in the face, she wanted to give me a black eye or pop me across the head or slap me down, she could do whatever she wanted to, and there was nothing I could do about it. You know, if she wanted to chase me down and beat me with a belt, that was her decision. That was nothing I could do about it. You know, if my dad wanted to come in and make me think he was going to kill me at night, there was nothing I could do about that. You know, like, I mean, he was physically abusive as well, right? Yeah, and my siblings, there's nothing I can do about the behavior with my siblings, or even if my brother sexually used me. I mean, what was I supposed to do about that? You know, I did do something about it. I told my mom, but she just was like, I don't care, whatever, it's your problem. So that's just lovely. Thank you, Mom, you know. So, you know, as a child, I had no control over what was happening to me. And then as a teenager, I just turned to drugs because that was the only thing I could think of doing, was just to zone out, get as high as I possibly could, you know, get away from it for a while, you know. And so I didn't handle it well as a teenager, obviously, turning to drugs, but it probably saved my life, I wouldn't doubt it. Then as a young person, not really knowing how to even behave as an adult, you know, it's like I had a hard time, you know what I mean? And so, you know, finally, at the age of 44, I say, you know what, I have control in my life. I do not have to let abusers in my life, and so therefore I cut my family off. And that's exactly what it is. I'm sure that a therapist or a psychotherapist, whoever was listening to this, would probably agree and say that's exactly what that is, taking some control, you know what I mean? And it's like, you know what, I do not have to allow them to abuse me. So now I think my next step would be to talk to them. And see, the thing is they won't change. I've known these guys for 40-something years, 40 cognitive years, right? Have they ever changed? No. Do they love me and care what I'm doing? Do they really care about how I'm feeling and what I'm doing? No. You know what I mean? They absolutely hate what I'm doing. They actually said that. They hate the fact that I'm on my healing journey. They hate the fact that I went in public with the story. They hate the fact that I'm doing what I'm doing to stop child abuse. As a matter of fact, they think child abuse is okay. One of my brothers does. And my dad, of course, you know, he's just mentally ill, so whatever. And my sister hates the fact that I'm doing anything at all except for shopping with her. If I'm not shopping with her, then I'm just not doing anything right. Because that's her main goal in life, is to shop, and that's what she likes to do. She has no other things in her life that bring her peace or happiness. So if you're not shopping with her, then you're just a moron, and you're just a crappy bad person, right? So I'm a bad person because I don't shop with my sister, right? And you know, do I want to hang around with those guys? No, right? So that's my decision. My decision totally. And I think it was the best thing to do. So, you know, we have owning our power to be the co-creator of our lives by changing our relationship with ourselves also. You know, we have to change the way we feel about ourselves. And, you know, if we're hearing all this negativity from ourselves saying, oh, I'll never make it, I'll never be able, you know, all of this stuff that's from the past, from the old days, you know, we have to change that around. And that's what I've done. You know, and sometimes I still hear those voices coming back to me saying, oh, man, I'll never make it. But then what I do is I just say, no, I don't have to listen to that voice because I know I'm going to make it. And I started doing a lot of self-affirmations and positive affirmations about 4 years ago, and it really has helped to change the way we think and to change the way we feel. It has to become something you believe on the inside, and I do. And that's probably why I've gotten this far in my healing journey, right, like 4 years later, is the work that I put into it. You know what I mean? And it does take work. But I would say never give up, right? We have about a minute left. I'll be on tomorrow morning as well. We'll just continue right on with this. And thanks, everybody, for being here. I appreciate it, and appreciate all your thoughts and prayers with Cecil. And I just keep you all in my prayers, too. And you take good care of yourselves. Have a good day. Never give up. Reach out if you need help, you know, whatever it is, even if you have to call a crisis line. But you make sure that you phone somebody, and you do not ever give up. You know what I mean? This is not it's not acceptable. We have to keep going, because there's better days. If we don't keep going, there never will be. But if we do, there is. And so I just want to be another person saying don't ever, ever give up, right? Talk to you later. Have a great day. Bye-bye.